For this video lesson, Anna will join us.
Hello there, fellow student drivers. Let's learn together, shall we?
Let's begin. Directional or direction signs are indicators of only the direction or directions the motorist is obliged to follow. Let's look at the following examples of directional signs. This sign means you are not allowed to turn or no U-turns, so you must keep straight. The sign with an arrow pointing to the right means the road implements a one-way, while the arrow that is diagonally pointing to the bottom right means keep right. Let's familiarize ourselves with the other directional signs. Although there are no icons, the text inside these signs defines the direction that a driver must take. Right lane must turn right, or left lane must turn left. Pay attention to these priority signs. Of course, there is the stop sign, which means a driver must stop at a designated stop line. It also means no parking within 6 meters. This sign is also called the give way sign. When you see this, you must yield to the vehicles on the right side of the intersection. Time for an icebreaker.
Oh, I like that.
Question: what does this regulatory sign mean? A. Is it no stopping? B. No parking on both sides? C. No entry? Or D. Railroad crossing?
No parking on both sides. Letter B.
That's right. I honestly thought you were going to say railroad crossing, Anna.
Oh yeah, someone might think that, Mr. Drive Safe.
Now you know, Anna. Okay, let's move on. How about this sign? It looks similar to the previous sign. Does it say no stopping, no parking, or no entry?
Right, it is a tricky sign. I think it is the first option, A, no stopping.
You got it right. It's a no stopping sign. It is totally different from the no parking sign or the no entry sign. And what does no stopping sign mean? It says that the driver must continue driving the vehicle and never make a full stop for the next few meters in that zone or part of the road. The question now is, what will happen if we completely ignore the no stopping sign? Or consider the opposite. What if we stop our motor vehicle in a place where it isn't allowed? We can count on the possibility of this neglect to cause a ripple effect on the flow of traffic.
Ripple effect?
Yes, a ripple effect. It's going to disrupt the flow of traffic even though the vehicle has only stopped for a few seconds where it is not allowed to stop. Aside from no stopping, ignoring the sign, which has the no loading and unloading anytime, could result in a ripple effect.
Oh,
Picture this: people playing basketball on the side of the street. The ball bounced towards the middle of the street. This small circumstance can possibly be disruptive. A vehicle stopping in a no stop are disruptive to other motorists. This is why, Anna, you are not allowed to stop your vehicle in the middle of a non-stopping zone. All right?
you can count on me on this, Mr. Drive Safe.
All right then. Now let's discuss the signs pertaining to parking. Notice that if the rectangle has a green mark, it means parking or loading and unloading is allowed at a given place and time. Pay attention to the details inside the sign so that you will always be guided. All right?
What about the signs with red rectangles? What does it mean, Mr. Drive Safe?
The signs in the red rectangles tell you of the prohibitive parking actions, like this one. No parking, fire hydrant. It means no parking within 4 meters of a fire hydrant. You should always remember this, Anna. It is illegal to park your vehicle within 4 meters of a fire hydrant, which is a water source used during emergencies. You will be an obstruction to authorities who will respond to a fire incident, particularly the Bureau of Fire Protection.
I will remember that. No parking within 4 meters of a fire hydrant.
The no parking on both sides, which we discussed earlier. While this one is called no stopping anytime, as indicated in the sign, this one is obvious. The text says no loading, unloading, anytime. Notice the sign no waiting anytime. Enforcing parking and loading and unloading zones are studied thoroughly by the authorities to ensure the flow of traffic and the safety of all road users. By the way, in other areas, these signs have Filipino subtext so that the many road users may understand it better. Isn't it interesting?
I agree, Mr. Drive Safe. Having the signs in Filipino is helpful for us drivers.
Definitely. Now, Anna, there are designated stop zones for buses, jeepneys, also called public utility jeepneys or PUJ for short. When you see any of these signs, immediately assume that parking is not allowed. Also, towaway zones are automatically considered as no parking zones. The moment a towaway vehicle sees your car parking in the prohibited zone, it's going to drag your car away. My gosh, aside from the hassle, you will also have to pay a hefty fine.
Oh my!
Yep. So never park in towaway zones or designated stop zones for public vehicles. And meanwhile, we should also remember that it is also illegal to stop at any and all intersections and crossings. A good number of these crossings are painted with yellow boxes that serve as a visual guide for drivers. Student drivers, did you know that there are regulatory signs that have the purpose of one, controlling the flow of traffic, and two, the restriction for certain vehicles on certain roads because they go over the allowable weight and size. This sign means no entry for vehicles with gross axle load of more than 2 tons. No entry for vehicles with a gross vehicle mass of more than 5 tons. No entry for vehicles with more than 2 meters of width. No entry for vehicles with more than 3.5 meters in height. No entry for vehicles with more than 10 meters in length. Pay attention to the arrow icons so it gives immediate meaning whether it is width, height, or length.
Mr. Drive Safe, if I am not mistaken, there are signs placed in specific areas of the road that limits the vehicle depending on its weight, regardless of its length, width, and height.
That's actually right, Anna. Can you let our fellow drivers know which areas often require vehicles to be measured or weighed?
Of course, Mr. Drive Safe. These places include bridges, tunnels, highways that make use of an overpass to cross areas, and even covered parking areas of large structures like malls.
Very good, Anna. Let's add toll gates at expressways to your list. By now, you should know about Republic Act 8750, otherwise known as the seatbelt law. It is mandatory to wear your seatbelt while you're on the road, especially when you're in a private vehicle. PUVs and PUJs usually have different seat setups. Why do you think the mandate to wear seatbelts was passed into law?
I know why, Mr. Drive Safe. It's for the safety of the passengers, especially in the event of a road crash. Naturally, the vehicle would be jostled heavily when it comes into collision with another vehicle or other structures. When the driver and his or her passengers wear seatbelts, they will avoid getting concussions or even getting thrown out of the vehicle. Seatbelts are proven to be lifesavers.
Spot on. In case of a road crash and the authorities find out that the driver or the passengers were not wearing seatbelts, the violators will be fined, even though the road crash was severe. This is why we should always have our seatbelt on, Anna. Whether there's a fine or not, it's still important for our safety. A seatbelt can save your life. Let's continue. No blowing of horns, or the prohibition of using a car horn around certain establishments. This would include hospitals, churches, and other places of worship, even around educational institutions. This is because the loud sound of the car horn disrupts whatever is taking place in these establishments. Just imagine those patients recovering in the hospitals. They definitely need peace and quiet. The other signs are called miscellaneous signs. They are in black circle with a yellow background. These are signs that are not directly involved with driving, but are reminders to alert drivers of pedestrians like children who are crossing the street, bikers as well, and for people with disabilities crossing the road. Always consider the safety of your fellow road users by following these miscellaneous signs.
I will, Mr. Drive Safe.
Now, let's discuss warning signs. From the word itself, these signs warn the drivers or motorists about the potentially hazardous conditions on or adjacent to the road. Treat it as a heads up on the condition or the type of road within the next few meters of your trip. Normally, these signs remind you to slow down for your safety and that of other road users. Remember these different kinds of road curve warning signs. And when you see them, you should take the appropriate action. There are sharp turns, whether it's going to the right or to the left, double sharp turns, curve, double curve, winding roads, and hairpin bends that look like U-turns. The driver needs to slow down as they approach these kinds of roads. Furthermore, you should never overtake when you see these warning signs. This is dangerous for the driver, the passengers, and the people riding other vehicles in front of you or ahead of you. Many people suffered and died because someone overtook another vehicle on roads with sharp turns. We don't want that to happen to us, right?
I see. Slow down and never overtake.
Right. Let us move on. You might also see any of the following warning signs when approaching intersections and junctions. Let us first discuss the signs when you approach an intersection. This is a sign when you are approaching the intersection side road, while the cross sign with an arrow pointing up plainly means you are approaching the intersection. Lastly, this means you're approaching merging traffic. Side road, intersection, merging traffic. Before the signs on junctions, let us define what it means. Junctions may either mean joining of two parallel roads, as shown in this T junction ahead sign, or the splitting of one road into two, as shown in this Y junction sign. Slowing down is also important and necessary when you see these signs, including the roundabout or rotunda ahead warning sign.
All right.
Another kind of sign warns of an upcoming warning sign a few meters ahead. These are called advanced warning or traffic control device signs. Advanced warning signs tell the driver of the forthcoming warning sign, like traffic light or a stop sign or a giveaway sign. With this advanced warning or traffic control device signs, the driver will have more time to reduce the speed. By the way, the traffic lights ahead sign also entails that the driver must not park or stop within 6 meters of this sign, as it reduces visibility of other drivers.
I see. No parking within 6 meters. I will keep that in mind.
We may also encounter what we call the road width signs. It tells us about a narrowing road or a narrow bridge ahead, a one-way road going two-way or the other way around.
The signs you mentioned, Mr. Drive Safe, are very important to remember.
Now, Anna, drivers hope to drive in ideal road conditions, but every so often we will encounter some obstacles along the way. Let's say it's just like life, sometimes easygoing, sometimes bumpy. So let us bear with it. Let's prepare for it and face it head on, of course, with caution. What are the road obstacles then? Opening bridges. These are rare and may not exist in the Philippines, but who knows? We might be driving abroad one of these days and we might encounter something like this. At least we know about it, right? Uneven roads. These are roads with potholes or irregular bumps. Downhill. These are roads that have downward inclinations. Uphill. These are roads with upward inclinations. Low flying plain zone. You will see these on roads near the airports. Spillways are areas that could possibly get flooded during heavy rains. Flood prone areas are definite areas that experience floods. Landslide prone. Be alert when you pass on roads with this sign. Meanwhile, the animal crossing signs can be seen on rural roads. Lastly, slippery roads obviously warn you to slow down. Let me add this. Warning signs have supplementary signs indicating the pedestrian or zone type ahead. When you see this sign with a bike lane text, it means be aware and slow down on bike lane ahead. And then pedestrians crossing ahead. Be aware and stop for PWD or persons with disability crossing ahead. Lastly, advise to pedestrians to cross at designated areas. Those with supplementary signs look like this. Anna, please observe. This is how warning and regulatory signs should be properly positioned along the roadside. These are partners or tandems, if you will. The first things you'll notice are the advanced warning signs placed a few meters before the warning sign, while regulatory signs are positioned closer to the designated location.
Is that how it is?
There are a few conditions or scenarios where warning and regulatory signs are in tandem. These include the railroad crossings and road work. It is important that railroad crossing and roadwork signs are positioned in places that can be easily seen by motorists and road users.
I couldn't agree more, Mr. DriveSafe.
Let's take a quick break, Anna. In our next lesson, we will discuss guide or informative signs, expressway signs, and hazard markers.
See you, fellow student drivers.